The Manila Sports Arena was already full hours before the match even began. People filled every seat in the building. Some fans held small Philippine flags. Others wore jerseys with the names of their favorite players printed on the back. Vendors walked through the aisles selling drinks and snacks, while excited voices echoed around the massive hall. But everyone was waiting for the same moment. The arrival of a legend. A Chinese table tennis champion whose name had become almost mythical in the sport. His name was Li Wei. Across Asia, Li Wei was known as a master of speed and precision. His spins were so sharp that opponents often missed the ball completely. His reflexes were so fast that commentators sometimes joked he could return a shot before most players even saw it coming. Many professional players had already fallen victim to his ruthless playing style. Some had even been embarrassed on the international stage. And now he had arrived in the Philippines for a special exhibition match. For most fans, this was a rare opportunity to see greatness in person. But for one young Filipino player, this day would become something far more personal. Standing quietly near the warm-up area was Marco Santos, a local table tennis player who had spent most of his career practicing in small community gyms and regional tournaments. Marco wasn't famous. He didn't have international titles. He didn't even expect to play today. Originally, the organizers only invited him as a training partner to help Li Wei warm up before the exhibition event. But sometimes fate changes plans, and on this particular day, destiny had something unexpected waiting. Before the match began, Li Wei sat down for a short press interview. Several reporters surrounded him with cameras and microphones. One journalist asked politely, "Master Li Wei, how do you feel about playing here in the Philippines?" Li Wei smiled casually, but there was something slightly arrogant in that smile. "It's a nice country," he replied. The reporter nodded. Then came the next question. "What do you think about Filipino table tennis players?" Li Wei leaned back in his chair. He paused for a moment before answering. "To be honest," he said, shrugging lightly, "this event is more like training for me." Some reporters looked surprised. But Li Wei continued speaking. "In China, even our junior players train harder than most professionals in other countries." The room grew quiet. Then he added something that made the atmosphere even heavier. "I doubt anyone here can give me a real challenge." The comment spread quickly through the arena. Fans murmured angrily. Some shook their heads in disbelief. Others felt insulted. In the warm-up area, Marco Santos heard the statement through a nearby television screen. One of his teammates walked up beside him. "Did you hear that?" his friend asked quietly. Marco nodded slowly, but he didn't say a word. Instead, he simply picked up his paddle and began bouncing the ball gently on its surface. Tap, tap, tap. His eyes never left the ball. Because sometimes the strongest response isn't words. Sometimes it's... The organizers had originally planned a different match lineup for the exhibition. But after Li Wei's confident remarks, the crowd began demanding something exciting. They wanted to see a real challenge, even if the odds were impossible. The organizers quickly discussed their options. Eventually, they made a surprising decision. Li Wei would face a local Filipino player, and the chosen player was none other than Marco Santos. When Marco heard the news, he felt a mixture of excitement and fear. Across the court stood a man who had defeated some of the best players in the world. Meanwhile, Marco had spent most of his career competing in small regional tournaments. The difference in experience was enormous, but Marco stepped toward the table anyway. The crowd applauded loudly when his name was announced. They knew he was the underdog, but they supported him. Because sometimes an underdog represents something bigger than skill. Sometimes they represent hope. The referee raised his hand. The match began. Li Wei served first. The ball spun across the table like a tiny white comet. Marco attempted a return, but the ball curved unexpectedly and flew past his paddle. Point. The second rally ended even faster. Li Wei delivered a sharp topspin that Marco couldn't control. Another point. Within seconds, the scoreboard began changing rapidly. 3-0, 5-1, 7-1. The crowd slowly became quiet. The difference in skill was painfully obvious. Li Wei moved across the floor like water flowing over stone, effortless, precise, confident. Marco tried to keep up, but every shot seemed slightly too fast, slightly too sharp, slightly too perfect. At one point, Li Wei tapped the ball softly over the net, almost teasing his opponent. Marco rushed forward for a smash, but Li Wei blocked the shot instantly, sending the ball spinning into an impossible corner. The crowd groaned. The first game ended quickly, 11-3. Li Wei returned to his chair calmly, barely sweating. For him, the match looked like it would end quickly, too quickly. Marco sat down during the short break. He wiped sweat from his face and stared at the table. His coach leaned closer. "You're playing exactly the way he wants," the coach said quietly. Marco sighed. "I can't read his spin," he admitted. The coach nodded. "Then stop trying to beat him with speed." Marco looked confused. The coach smiled slightly. "Change the rhythm." On the opposite side of the court, Li Wei raffed with his team. He seemed relaxed, completely confident. The referee called the players back to the table. Marco stood up slowly. His heart still raced, but now he had
The second game began. But this time, Marco didn't attack aggressively. Instead, he slowed the pace. He returned high balls. Long rallies began forming. Li Wei frowned slightly. This wasn't his preferred style. Marco kept the ball in play again and again. The rallies grew longer. 10 shots, 15 shots, 20 shots. The crowd began clapping rhythmically. Then something surprising happened. Marco dove for a wide return and barely managed to keep the ball in play. The arena exploded with cheers. The scoreboard slowly shifted, 5-5. For the first time in the match, Li Wei looked slightly irritated. As the second game continued, the energy inside the arena transformed. Every point Marco won made the crowd louder. Every rally felt like a battle. Li Wei started attacking more aggressively, trying to regain control, but Marco refused to give up. One rally lasted nearly 30 shots, back and forth, faster and faster. Finally, Li Wei smashed the ball with tremendous force, but Marco somehow blocked it back. Point. The crowd erupted. Soon, the scoreboard showed something nobody expected. 9-9. The entire arena stood on their feet. Marco served carefully. The rally began. Li Wei attacked first. Marco returned with a deep defensive shot. Another smash, another block. Finally, Li Wei misjudged the spin. The ball flew long. Point. Game point. The arena fell silent. Marco served again. The rally was intense. 6 shots, 7 shots, 8 shots. Then Marco stepped forward and unleashed a powerful forehand smash. The ball struck the corner perfectly. 11-9. Marco had won the second game. The crowd exploded with excitement.
Now, the pressure had shifted. Li Wei no longer looked relaxed. His expression turned serious. The next games were brutal. Both players moved with incredible speed. Sweat poured down their faces. Every rally became longer and more intense. The crowd could barely sit still. Then, during the final game, Marco produced the shot of his life. After a long rally, he stepped around the table and delivered a lightning-fast forehand. The ball flew past Li Wei before he could react. Point. Match point. The arena held its breath. Marco served the final ball. The rally began. Li Wei attacked aggressively. Marco blocked. Another smash. Another block. Then Marco saw his opportunity. He stepped forward and smashed the ball with all his strength. The ball struck the corner of the table. Perfect. Li Wei froze. The referee raised his hand. Match over. For a moment, the arena was silent. Then the crowd erupted louder than ever before. Marco had done the impossible. Li Wei slowly walked toward the net. Then he bowed slightly. "You played with heart," he said quietly. Marco nodded respectfully. Because sometimes talent wins matches, but heart creates legends. And on that unforgettable night in Manila, a Filipino underdog turned humiliation into